Happy Father's Day, Charles.
Thank you, Jason. Happy Father's Day to you.
I'm not a father, but thank you.
As far as you know.
Well, for Joe Biden, it's Happy Dysfunctional Parenting Day, and for New York, look at this. This is not even the future of garbage. This is the future of...
These are antiques. These are relics.
If you want to chain up, I mean, how much explosive could be in that?
Right.
If it was
Here's the
wanted
proprietor of that pile of garbage. Is his mouth still open?
I don't know.
Can you zoom in or?
Yeah.
I think his mouth is still open. This is ridiculous.
Well, this is obviously a huge security breach that something like this is allowed to stay unattended. Probably been here overnight. That guy looks pretty hunkered down.
Oh, he's been there for months. I've
Right.
seen it. When he's awake. I mean, think about it. We won't say the time exactly. That guy should be up. He's on the street, and there's no noise. There's a lot of noise.
I don't know if he's got a lot on his schedule.
Yeah, but still, I mean, how do you stay? I mean, I can imagine if you're really tired, falling asleep on the street, but not at 10 o'clock, whatever time it is now.
Well, he's probably drunk.
Drunk. He's probably on fucking some cocktail of who knows what.
Something.
Bullshit.
But there's quite a lot of things that have happened since we last spoke, Charles. Joe Biden was staring off into the distance as a person parachuted from an airplane to the ground feet away from him. A highly unusual occurrence that most people's attention would be attracted to. Joe was wandering off into the woods.
Right. If he were not president of the United States, where you get all kinds of deference, I think it's safe to say that he is the embodiment of the word jackass.
Yeah.
He is somebody.
Joe-ass.
Yeah, Joe-ass. Mark Levin, who I'm amazed he hasn't had a heart attack the way he pops off on his radio show. But he apparently most recently had quite a diatribe going back into all of Joe Biden's lies when he abandoned his first presidential campaign. I mean, he had said he was the top student undergraduate. He had said all these arguments about being the first in his family to go to college and law school. Everything about the man is a lie. And if you think about it, he was placed into the Senate at a tender age. He was 29 when he ran. He turned 30 before he was sworn in.
Wow.
And that's awfully young.
Is that the youngest person ever?
Might be.
Probably not, though, because I think way back in the day, people didn't live that long, so 30 in the Senate was not that uncommon.
Well, you have to be 30. Even back then, you had to be 30 to be, I think, 30 was, the cutoff to be a senator. So the point, and back then, as you rightly point out, 30 in 1789.
It was like midlife.
Well, or end of life for many people. So, so it was assumed that you were wiser than a 30-year-old might be today. But the man, if you look through his record, that Bob Gates, who was a Republican defense secretary in the Obama administration, said that Joe Biden has gotten, yeah, right.
Erotic waffles? No?
Yeah, that's somebody who's like, I think I'll fail out of every class I've ever been in. Erotic and waffle don't go together in a sentence.
Oh, look, here's a Bronco Raptor. That's the first one we've seen, Charles. Still Turbo 6. The one other thing, though, I'll point out is that's a missed opportunity over there. It should be called the twat waffle. Sorry, so people when they were 30 in the Senate back in the day.
But I was saying Gates said in his book after he left the Obama administration, said that Joe Biden was selected for his Washington insider cred, but that on foreign policy, every major decision the guy has ever made has been wrong. You think back, and Trump was saying it yesterday at the Epic rally in Detroit. He pointed out that Biden was a staunch and hardline supporter. Indeed, he got it across the line. The 1994 crime bill.
Yeah.
And he referred to blacks as, he said, certain blacks are super predators.
I thought that was Hillary said that.
Well, and Biden echoed it.
Wow.
And so here, he's trying to pretend, Joe Biden. Look at this, yet more vacant stuff. He's trying to pretend that he's a real advocate for people of color and African Americans and other. And the guy is basically, as I said, he's a jackass. He's a pompous fool who can't at this stage string 10 words together without sounding like He's eating applesauce and potatoes in his mouth at the same time and spilling most of it on his shirt. He should be wearing a bib, a mouth guard, and he should be in bed on intravenous drips. I mean, the guy is basically clearly not competent to be an adult, let alone President of the United States.
Wow, Charles. We're getting a ton of radio interference here.
That's that new super high it's going to be.
I don't know why we're getting so much radio interference
We're
right
near
here.
a police station, I think.
But we've come over here all the time and don't get interference.
Well, maybe that's that new thing. But
We
anyway,
gotta get off of this.
Avenue or
I don't know. I mean, something is. Maybe we're getting further away from it now. Maybe it's that building.
yeah.
Maybe they have Wi-Fi in that building.
Yeah. So anyway, here's Biden, as Trump says, using Air Force One.
Hang on, it's just terrible. We've got to get out of here.
Tell me what we did.
Here's some stuff. This is what it must be. What is this?
What?
This tower of whatever this is. Stringing across the street to that. You see that?
Uh-huh.
What the hell is that?
Don't know.
Look, it's got some. Look at this stuff. We got to get away from this thing.
Okay, let's keep walking. You got your yoga pads?
Wait, look. Now it's basically stopping.
Cool. But so here's Trump said in Detroit that the Biden family was using Air Force One like a taxi cab to go back and
It's back now. We got to get off Fifth Avenue.
All right.
Wait.
Down.
No, it stopped.
Okay.
I think it was that.
All right. So they're using Air Force One back and forth. Biden was in Normandy, made a fool of himself at D-Day. Hillary echoed the foolishness, saying that in World War II, you had to actually fight Hitler. All you have to do to beat Hitler is to vote against Trump in 2024. That's Hillary saying that. And Biden going off in what should have been an apolitical speech about the noble sacrifices.
Right.
Across the board, and you were right, of course. I didn't doubt you, but I just hadn't checked it. That indeed Gorbachev was president.
Yeah.
In '84.
I remember him in the picture.
Yeah. And so the Russians had been invited; they were disinvited this year.
It's terrible.
Yeah. And their sacrifices were far greater in terms of personnel, civilian loss than we suffered. The Allies suffered in World War II. But so here's Biden making an ass of himself, and confirming he's an ass, Joe ass, in Normandy, and then coming back and playing the fool wherever he was back in America, then going back to Italy playing the fool, then going out to California for his fundraiser playing the fool.
Let's talk about that for a second. Actually, here's the weed flea market. I guess they didn't get rid of it. Koreatown Shopping Center. But the fundraiser. So I meant to load that picture in because they've only released 2 pictures that I've seen. One with Jimmy Kimmel and I think Obama.
Predictably, yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel, Obama, and Biden smiling like dunces in a very close-up picture. And a separate very close-up picture of George Clooney.
Another dunce.
And Julia Roberts.
Another dunce.
And 2 power agent people. But my point is, Trump, who is not a celebrity movie star or Hollywood guy, he had a fundraiser in California, I believe at the home of David Sachs, the
right.
super millionaire investor guy, billionaire guy who's friends with Elon Musk. And they were saying, first of all, they showed a little bit of video from the event on the All In podcast, and the room was filled with people, tech entrepreneurs who are known, the Winklevoss brothers and all kinds of people. And I have a feeling that the turnout for the Joe Biden event was an embarrassment, which is why they're only showing you the 4 people who put the damn thing together. Why are there no wide shots showing the audience at Joe's thing? And he only raised, what, 28 million? How much did Trump raise without all these celebrities?
Look at these guys. Sleeping on the street. At least they're cleaning up.
It's camping.
Oh, if y'all go two blocks up to get the whole building.
Oh, they're giving helpful advice now, Charles. I have never seen the retail available sign with the picture of the Empire State Building.
What about the second floor as well?
Wow.
Well, what do you expect when you got people camping across the street? I mean, you
The
want to have
mighty
your world
Empire
headquarters
State
here? And what happened to this place? I mean, normally this place would be open.
This opened during the pandemic, and it was a big deli.
Doesn't look very big on a Sunday. Normally it would be open, wouldn't it?
Well,
Spaces for rent.
yeah, you'd think Father's Day at this hour, people would be out walking around.
Right. It's pathetic. Pathetic. Great. If this is the greatest city on earth, I shudder to think what Calcutta's like. You know,
Well,
probably better.
yeah, I mean, the greatest city on earth is like, Lizzo, people telling her she's beautiful. I mean, you can say that, but it doesn't make it so.
You should say that shortly before going to the eye doctor. Here's Lizzo's.
But this is what they want everybody to believe.
That guy was just mouthing off to this couple.
What did he say?
I don't know, but he was just turned around and was calling out shit to them. He's got his pants are filthy. Probably just taking a leak in his pants.
So the other thing that happened maybe last week, Charles, was that Saudi Arabia declined to renew this petrodollar agreement. I'm amazed by how few people understand what that is, even when it's explained to them.
Right.
Very, very smart people. I've discussed it, and they're like, well, but the price of oil is low. And I'm like, yeah, but the price of oil doesn't matter. It's the pact that was made, which compelled every nation to transact the business of buying or selling oil only in dollars, that created this demand for dollars that is now completely gone. Joe Biden literally murdered the petrodollar that made the US dollar the world reserve currency. Isn't that right?
Well, he can get away with it at a time when from the wealth standpoint, I don't know what the actual wealth of the world is. I think it's probably 500 trillion or more. And the simple fact is, with Europe imploding and exploding, exploding with civil strife,
simultaneously.
only a fool would put long-dated assets, long maturity money into euro bonds, right? There's no guarantee Europe will be a thing, a unified Europe. So, in terms of deep markets in which to invest large sums of capital, the only one on the planet is the U.S. market right now. Japan is big, but it's got far worse problems actually demographically than Europe. So until there is an alternative, and I think that could be 20 years from now, and I don't think it's Bitcoin, until there's an alternative to, set up your headquarters at 383 Fifth.
Until there's an alternative
to the US dollar-based security system. It's regrettable what happened, but I think the Saudi Wealth Fund is still going to have to, they may not buy dollar-denominated debt, but they're going to have to buy equities.
So that's the other part of the petrodollar system, is not only that they force everybody to transact oil business in dollars, but that Saudi Arabia will then buy U.S. Treasury bonds, which U.S. Treasury issues bonds. That's basically asking for a loan, right? You say, hey, can you break this down for people who don't understand it at all, Charles? What does that mean for the petrodollar, that they're buying all this Treasury bond debt and we're just printing money and making more debt?
Well, if you're sitting around with idle cash and you want to put it in a place, and you've got, let's say, sovereign wealth funds, you've got trillions of dollars. You can't put $1 trillion to work in the equity market easily, right?
Meaning you can't buy $1 trillion worth of stock.
Well, you have to disclose when you hold more than a 5% position of a company.
But is that what you mean? Because some people hear equities, they don't even know what you're talking about.
Common stock. So if you want to buy common stock in a company whose market value is $100 billion, let's say, and there are very few companies above that, then you can only put $5 billion to work without disclosing your position. And a lot of these funds don't want to do that. So it's a tough thing to do. It's a great problem to have, that kind of money, but it's tough to actually invest it wisely.
So it's so much money that it's like you can't even invest it.
Right, so you have to think about things like real estate, where there are no disclosure requirements to date, about who actually owns not only the equity in the
There's
building,
a finite amount of it.
but the mortgage that might be put up against it. And so if you're sitting there and you like Europe, which I think is only Joe Biden and the ass clowns in his administration today would like Europe from an economic standpoint, there you're definitely...
That guy's looking at us a lot.
He's an idiot, he's got a neck tattoo. You've only got, in Europe, for short maturities, money market funds or their equivalent, you're getting a rate of return on your investment less than inflation. So you're basically signing up to lose the value of your money. And I would argue...
Seems bad.
Well, I would argue even on long-dated Treasury bonds, you're also likely to lose money in the early years. Because I think inflation, they have these idiots in the Biden team, the regulators, who are calculating inflation at a very low number, excluding the things that are rising the most and hurting American families the most, like food and energy. So, in some, the Saudis are trapped. They have so much wealth that they can say they're going to abandon
the
dollar. But I think that could well be part of a larger trade that these buffoons in Washington are on now. Trump had a good deal going. He was going to give Saudi Arabia a security guarantee in exchange for their recognizing the state of Israel and joining the Abraham Accords. Biden will probably give away
that.
Well, but he's trying to resuscitate it. So this move might be a first step in that negotiation, where the Saudis display independence by saying we're not going to be locked into this petrodollar deal and then get paid off to do the Abrahamic Accords, which I doubt they're going to do so long as there's violence in Gaza, and now spreading more widely. But it's just, I'd rather pay attention to Bozo the Clown's daily movements, and I think he's still dead.
His bowel movements?
No, just like what he's doing, who he's meeting with, than Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg. I mean, this news, for example, we heard when Booty was at the last Face the Nation, or whatever it is, to Face the Nation.
Disgrace, yeah.
Disgrace the Nation with Margaret Brennan. And he said that they've done like 5 charging stations.
8, I think, was the number.
I thought it was more like 5, but whatever. It's a low number.
For like billions.
With billions. And now we learn $45 billion has been allocated for high-speed internet.
Right, and nobody's gotten any.
And that was allocated in 2021. So 3 years later, nobody has anything.
There's another component to that, in that Starlink, Elon Musk, had tried or was participating in that or something, and then they cut them out.
Right.
And Elon Musk made a whole big stink saying, wait a minute, we don't need to build any infrastructure, right, and just immediately could beam down internet to these people.
Right.
And the government said, no, we're not going to do that.
Right. And then actually on the charging stations and elsewhere, it's revealed that in order to get an actual contract with the Biden administration to do anything, you have to cover yourself, soak yourself up into the DEI bullshit, and promise that you're going to hire people who don't speak English and hire non-citizens and do all kinds of ridiculous shit. And of course, it's very tough to find competent contractors who would do that. And so none of this work is getting done. So you could go and give yourself participation trophies, invent statistics that say everything's going well. But the reality is that Joe Biden, as Trump said yesterday in his rally at some epic points, so you could take the 10 worst presidents in American history, add their damage all up, and it's a fraction of what this doofus, he didn't say it that way, this jackass doofus Biden and his team have done in less than 4 years.
I agree with that.
And it's just, it's the kind of stuff you can't unsee, the things that he's done.
You can't undo some of the things that he's done.
Well, because the problem is that Trump, if he's elected, will have 4 years. That's it. And you have to assume, watching American politics, that there's going to be a seesaw. We're not going to have 50 years of sensible economic and foreign policies in this country. We're going to have Trump, most likely, assuming he isn't shot, which I hope doesn't happen, or suffers a health problem. We're going to have him. We're going to have a conservative House and Senate, I believe. And in the first 2 years of his administration, you're going to have hell in the blue states. They are not. It's all those
Rioting, you
people
mean?
who were yelling and screaming in 2016 at the election at what happened are going to be doing worse than that
Yeah.
in New York and Chicago, San Francisco, and elsewhere. They're not going to accept the results. You know, they keep saying, "Oh, are you going to accept the results, Trump?" They will
Right.
not accept the results. They'll be burning shit down
Yep.
and trying all kinds of crap moves. And just feel free to take up the whole sidewalk. And Trump will have to bulldoze through that in the first 2 years. And he'll have to produce successes. And then in the second 2 years, he might have more of a honeymoon period, but it'll be a lame duck.
Yeah.
Look at this. I mean,
No, I know.
take these fucking asshole traffic cops who I see in McDonald's and elsewhere trading carpets on their cell phones back at home in Bangladesh, eliminate them and put the equivalent of Navy SEALs or Army Rangers on our police forces going around and rounding these motherfuckers up.
Yeah, why don't they take veterans who are looking for work and they're trained and have them go out with the social workers?
And surround these people and say, all right, step one, produce ID. You don't have ID, fine, you're going home. You know,
Well, or somewhere.
no, you're out of here.
But where's home?
So if you don't have ID and you speak with a foreign accent, you're leaving this country.
Okay.
You know, and
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
It. And actually, Trump made the point, which is true, that Dwight D. Eisenhower, who,
Wow.
what? Yeah.
There's just all these buildings that I feel like we walk around here all the time, and I don't know that I've noticed that before.
Yeah, welcome to the Congo. Here's this guy with a,
Where's Leopold when you need him?
it's ridiculous. And across the street, the next door, garbage down the
It's
street.
just crazy,
I
Charles.
mean, this used to be prime shopping district. Instead, it's street. It's a street market.
Now, we've only got about 2 more minutes here until we make our way over to the First Amendment Forum, where we're going to have an opportunity to discuss this new National Defense Authorization Act
Yeah,
that
and the draft.
purports to conscribe.
Only men.
No, they said women as well.
No, the draft that's there is only men.
Somebody said something
I know,
about daughters.
that's not what I saw.
Well, whatever it is, we're going to have to talk about that because on Father's Day, anybody who has a son or a daughter should be very concerned about the mere suggestion of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you'd have to be out of your mind if you have even 1 ounce of love for your child. You
Right.
will not vote for Joe Biden.
Well, with our success ratio, in quotes, in the military, I mean, look what happened in
Right.
Afghanistan, look what happened in Iraq, look what's happening in the Middle East now,
Ukraine.
and Ukraine. You really want to require everybody to sign into a draft? And you know the way that's going to be converted. It's not going to be just the military, you know, be for the Climate Corps and the DEI Corps and other cults.
I saw a picture of a Ukrainian military facility where they were training, you know, new recruits or whatever you call them when you force people into the army.
Right.
And it was a room full of what looked like 16-year-old girls who were all looking down at the floor,
Right.
dour expressions on their face that they knew they were off. Instead of getting ready for the junior prom, they were getting ready to be maimed and killed.
Raped probably by the officers. But that Victoria, I think it's Sparks or Spars or whatever her name is, she's a congressperson from, I think, the Midwest, maybe Ohio. She was born in Ukraine and came over here. And,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And
She goes off in Congress. That reminds me of my ex-wife. I can't listen to her too
well,
much.
no, but initially she was all in. I remember she wore a Ukrainian flag pin
Right.
to the floor. She was all in for the initial
Yes.
aid vote.
Yes.
And now she has turned, thankfully.
Yes.
And listen to her, and listen, frankly, to me. I've been to Ukraine 15 times between
Wow.
2010 and 2012.
I've
and
only been once.
I saw the bullshit for what it was worth.
Yeah.
Day one.
Yeah, no, it was a shitholi before it got bombed. The notion that you would send $100 billion there for anything is
Yeah.
absurd. That money should have been spent here
Well,
to
no,
restore
that
the
money
United
should
States.
be used to pay down our debt. We don't
Pay
have
down the
money.
debt,
We
exactly.
do not have money to spend right now. It's like you got to, your credit cards are maxed out.
Right.
when you divide our
Pay that
debt
first, right?
by the people who are paying income taxes, it's probably approaching $1 million of debt per family.
Wow.
You know, and
Well, it was like 100,000 on that debt clock the last
again,
time I saw it.
I'm making two big adjustments. I'm subtracting all the people who don't pay income taxes from the bottom of that fraction.
Got it.
And then rather than dealing with people, I'm dealing with households which typically have 2.3 people on average in them. So those are big changes, and that's how you get up to the billion.
Let's
million,
take this moment, Charles, to break, and we'll be back. People can join us in just 5 minutes on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Thanks to everybody who sponsors the show. Happy Father's Day.